Necessity is the mother of invention. So what necessity led to the inventing of cocktails? The history of alcohol is often as murky as the oceans over which it was so industriously carried. Most of what we are left with are legends and hearsay. The earliest accounts in mixology take us back to 1586, somewhere near Havana, where the plundering of a fleet of British privateers was put to a halt after the crew was struck ill. According to legend, the captain nursed his crew back to health with a concoction of his own design, using whatever he had on hand combined with some local medicinal plants that were used by the natives in the area. Each ingredient had a specific purpose: mint for stomach pain, lime to treat scurvy, sugar for taste, chuchuhasi bark for vitality, and aqua di arte, which would have been a primitive form of rum. The beverage apparently worked, and the sailors were able to return home, taking the recipe back with them. The elixir became known as El Drake, named for its inventor Sir Francis Drake, but you are probably more familiar with the descendant, the Mojito. Hi, my name is Sarah, and you're listening to Cocktail Lore.
Hi, welcome to Cocktail Lore. I'm Rusty, and today joining us is our esteemed guest Lydia, who's got her mouth full right now.
That's me.
Lydia, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
My name is Lydia. I'm from St. Louis, Missouri, and I like to draw and to sing.
Let's give snaps for Lydia. I can't snap though. Thank you, Lydia, for snapping for me.
You are here because you're our friend, and because you like rum. Rum drinks.
I like rum drinks. They're the best drinks. By far. Well, that and ciders.
Ciders
I feel like I might get hate mail for this. But rum and cider drinks are the best drinks. And you can't at me on that.
Ciders have actually been drank for hundreds and hundreds of years. They were like really popular back in the day.
Yeah, so I have ancient taste buds or whatever.
Yeah, so you're really sophisticated in your tastes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, so remember that when you losers are drinking Miller Lights.
So, what's your favorite rum drink?
I like fruity rum.
Like fruity bitch drinks, like we all do.
I like drinks that just get me fucked up. You know what I like? Shots of rum. You know what I like? Rum drinks. I don't give a fuck. Just give me a drink.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, we'll get to that here shortly.
Okay.
We're going to get into some of the history around this time period when Sir Francis Drake would have allegedly invented this drink. So a little bit of the prehistory of this cocktail to do with the world and where it was at the time. Basically, the history of this drink and rum and a lot of cocktails in general is the history of the colonial Americas. So Spain began colonizing the Americas in 1492, and Christopher Columbus actually brought sugarcane over in 1493. His father-in-law was actually a sugar plantation owner. Basically, sometime between that 100-year period between when this cocktail was invented and when the sugarcane was first brought over, they started growing and manufacturing sugarcane products. And somebody somewhere along the way figured out that you could ferment it and make beverages out of it. And then apparently somebody also figured out that if you take said beverage and distill it, then you get this really awesome, potent, very widely variable tasting drink called rum. It wasn't called rum for a long time after that. There was like a lot of different names for it. Aguardiente de cana, which I probably butchered the pronunciation of, which literally means like fire water of sugarcane. The British didn't really like the Spanish colonizing, so they started trying to colonize over there as well and claim their little lot of land. They started a couple different settlements. Nothing successful until 1607, and I'm sure you guys know which one that was. But the notable one, the one we actually care about, is not the one that started America, but the one that started rum, which was supposedly in Barbados. It's a pretty foggy timeline though, so it's kind of hard to say. But during that time, privateers, which are basically pirates for hire, the British government and many other governments would basically pay these guys to go out and ransack boats, and so that's what Sir Francis Drake was he was basically a hired gun by the English, and he was commissioned to go out there and sack Spanish boats and settlements.
People's shit.
Yeah, and he did a lot of that. And in this particular case, he was near Havana, or probably in Havana. And although the British have been doing this since the early 1300s, this is really when it kind of became a big, huge thing and eventually led to piracy, like the actual pirates that we, sort of romanticize, like Thomas Morgan, Captain Morgan Rum. Thomas Morgan was a privateer. He was actually an admiral, under the English Navy and stuff like that. And then Edward Teach, who was Blackbeard, started out as a privateer, and then they kind of put an end to privateering. And he was like, I'm not going to be a merchant. And so he decided to become a pirate. And that's how he actually started in piracy. So yeah, a lot of like legendary pirates.
What about Jack Sparrow?
Oh God. Why did I ask you to be on this podcast? Yeah, no, Jack Sparrow was...
Why is the rum always gone?
Just, this is Johnny Depp being Johnny Depp.
Wait.
Where's the rum gone?
That wasn't a documentary?
No, it wasn't.
Dude, I hope not.
Pirates of the Caribbean wasn't based on true events?
If I saw a man with tentacle beard, I would probably shit my
It's
pants.
pretty sexy.
I mean, I thought you liked a lot of anime.
I mean, you like a lot of anime.
I mean, yeah, anime is great.
We all like anime.
Anime is awesome.
Go on.
But anyways, so this drink, the El Drake, we had a hard time finding anything substantial from history. Lydia, stop playing with your boobs.
Sorry.
We had a hard time finding anything substantial from history, documenting the El Drake, besides a ton of different articles and stuff that say that Francis William Drake, I believe his middle name was William. I'm just assuming because he was English.
It's gonna be something completely different.
Wow.
I keep calling him Sir Francis William Drake, but I'm pretty sure it's just Sir Francis Drake. But anyways, yeah.
Did you just assume someone's middle name?
I did. So, we're going to go ahead and make the drink because I can see everybody's kind of a little too sober right now to get into this podcast. And I've been talking a lot. So we're going to go ahead and make the El Drake, and then we will come back momentarily. Say that again.
I said, is there a way to make my boobs not look so giant? Oh, are you recording?
And we're back.
So we have the drinks in front of us now. They are kind of a little different looking than I thought they were going to be. Because there's a lot less liquid in them, I guess.
Yeah, well, there's no ice in it.
Yeah, and plus the preparation of this is you pretty much just muddle. So you throw the mint leaves in first, and then you cut up a whole lime into chunks, and you muddle the lime with the mint in with sugar. And so in this case, I did simple syrup. So I put an ounce of simple syrup, muddled it, and then added 2 ounces of rum and just stirred it a little bit. And then I fine strained out all of the chunks, put some of the lime chunks back in, and then garnished it with a lime wheel and some mint. And it looks... What do you guys think?
I think it's cute.
It is pretty cute.
I also don't know much about proper alcohol display.
It's kind of weird. It definitely doesn't look like a normal cocktail you'd get.
Yeah. You definitely stuck with the times by not putting ice in it because obviously they didn't have ice back in,
Yeah, I wanted to try and try it as close to what they would have experienced as possible. It's also probably important to note that this was probably not something they intended to drink for the sake of just getting drunk and having a good time. This would have been considered more of a medicinal concoction.
Right.
Which is mostly what distilled alcohol would have been used for back then.
Yeah. Smelled good.
Who wants to go first? Let's let our guest go first.
Okay, I'm just tasting it.
Well, tell us what you think of the smell, the look, all that kind of stuff.
Oh,
She's smelling it right now.
it smells very lime-esque. I can't smell any mint yet. Hold on. Okay, so I just sniffed the mint leaves, and now I smell mint. It's really cute. It's super cute. I just took a selfie with it, so I'll probably post that soon. And I'm gonna go ahead and go in for a little Actually, I'm gonna take a sip of water first because I just finished eating a fruit and grain.
Swish it. There you go. Yep.
Gotta
good.
cleanse the palate.
Perfect.
Oh, that's pretty tasty.
Is it?
Actually. Yeah, I like it.
Oh man, nice.
Oh, was I not supposed to?
I'm kind of surprised because I haven't tried it yet, but I have kind of low expectations about it not having ice and stuff in it. Is it strong?
Yeah, it's kind of strong, but strong with a C. It's kind of strong. But you must understand how much lower my expectations for cocktails are than yours.
Okay, fair enough. Sarah, do you want to go next?
Yeah.
It is a little warm.
It is warm. I've not had a cocktail that involved not having ice in it, so I'm really curious as to is there any dilution to it? Or...
Just the simple syrup. So that's the only dilution.
Oh boy.
Simple syrup and lime.
So this is gonna be strong as shit then.
So it should be it's probably gonna be pretty strong.
All right. I mean, it smells good at least. It definitely smells like something that I would drink. But I'm, as we've tried out those rums earlier, Rusty, I do not trust my sniff anymore. And my sniff is definitely my nose, y'all. But
Down it.
Yep, down in it right now. All right. Oh, that is strong, but it's good.
Is it?
Yeah, actually, I like it.
I'm excited now.
It's strong and it's good.
It's strong as fuck, but it's good.
So it looks like, I put some of the lime chunks and stuff in the actual glass. Mm-hmm. So it looks very like punch-like.
Yeah.
It smells nice. I like the look of it. But I would want to put it in a smaller glass. That's, I think, the biggest problem that I have with it. So I'm going to go for it.
Yep, drink.
Oh, yeah, it's kind of like a daiquiri with a little something extra. And then it's weird that it's warm, though. Mm-hmm. I don't know if I'd be able to get over that. The warmness is the part that I dislike the most.
Honestly, it definitely, I don't expect it for sure. It's definitely not, it's almost like drinking something that should, that should be warm or cold, but, lukewarm instead. Which is pretty much what any cocktail is that you're drinking at room temperature.
Yeah.
But I don't hate it. I don't hate that it's at lukewarm.
Let's just grab some ice and throw it in there.
We could.
Oh,
but we're trying to drink like the sailors.
Oh!
Yeah,
I know, right?
To match your sailor's mouth.
I know, right? Like a seaman.
Yeah, drinking like the seaman, with our lime wedge on the edge of the glass,
Yes, this living room's just filled with semen. The mint definitely comes through a lot.
Yeah.
Whenever you actually sip it, though. Very, very super minty.
I'm very pleasantly surprised by it, though.
I like that the mint's coming out of it kind of looks like a little swamp. Or
Yeah,
like a
it
little
does.
island.
Yeah, I actually like it. This looks much better to me the way it's in there.
Yeah.
I think it looks better with the mint just kind of shoved in the glass like that.
Yeah.
I don't think garnishing it over the side is as good, but then it lets the drinker choose what they want to do.
Yeah.
So yeah, while we're finishing these, let's go ahead and go on to some more history. So there's a lot of debate as to whether or not the story that we told in the beginning is actually the beginning of the Mojito. Like I said, we poured through a lot of different books and stuff, trying to find evidence of it being printed prior to this. We couldn't actually find any references where it was actually printed. There's just kind of this legend that a bunch of different articles and stuff have. But we couldn't actually find a realistic recipe for an aldrake, so I just kind of made it as close to what I thought it would be.
Yeah. If anyone finds anything, definitely let us know, though.
Yeah, please, because I'd be really curious to see how it lines up with our timeline.
Oh, Drake.
Lamau.
Yeah.
like
show.
Like the rapper. That's how this song goes.
Beats.
Yeah. Anyways.
Anyways, please, if anyone knows where, any source material for this stuff before the 1930s even, we'd be happy to see it.
Yeah, and then maybe we'll have you on an episode. Pachow.
We could Skype you in.
Anyways, an alternate version of the Mojito was possibly invented by African slaves working in the fields of Cuba.
Woo!
Now, I think that is actually a more likely story. I think that the drink was probably invented by either the Cubans or the African slaves working in the sugar plantations. The reason being is the English have this long history of going places and stealing things and claiming it for the crown. So I wouldn't be very surprised if they went to Cuba and there was maybe this remedy that somebody had locally that was this mixture of lime and alcohol and all this kind of stuff. And Sir Francis Drake was just like, oh, look, I've discovered a new remedy. I invented it myself.
And he twirls his mustache like a Saturday morning cartoon villain.
Yeah, right. Isn't that so? That's such a like.
Yes.
That's such a like colonial thing to do. You know, that like just go places,
Waluigi.
take things. Oh my god.
Wah.
What's the? There's like a. There's like an Eddie Izzard joke where he's talking about like going to start colonies in the United States. And he talks about like landing is like this great expanse of land and there's nobody here. Excuse me, and just like shoos away these Native Americans, and which is super sad. But I can 100% see how that would happen. And the reason that they think that the Mojito may have started with the African slaves is the name Mojito could possibly be a play on the word mojo, which means to cast a spell. So it could actually be sort of a combination between mojo and then Spanish language.
I cast a spell on you and now you're mine.
She's doing hand motions. It's very...
I put a spell on you.
This is what happens when we see a cat's night before.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm also kind of a lightweight.
You've had one shot and like a quarter of that drink.
I don't understand why you're judging me.
So what do you think of this whole thing? What do you think is more likely, Lydia?
I think that it's likely that the Mojo one, because I like that one better.
Yeah, I do too. I
have no factual reasoning
Yeah.
to like one over the other.
So it would have been basically made from a concoction of sugarcane juice and just what they had locally. The other thing that makes me think that that's probably a thing is because those ingredients would have been all local to the area. So you're telling me that for, decades, these people never thought to combine local ingredients that they had at their disposal to make a drink taste better, but it took the divine providence of some white dude in a ship to come by and be like, oh, these ingredients, and put them together and make a delicious cocktail that can cure scurvy. I just don't buy it. I don't know. I think that it was probably a local remedy that kind of got stolen from them, which is maybe why there's not a whole lot of grounds to this actual legend and why people don't consider it the invention of the Mojito, or maybe that's why it was called El Drake. That's what the Spanish called him, by the way, because he was like a nefarious pirate to them. To us, to the English, he was like, oh, he was a hero and seafaring guy and stuff. But to the Spanish, they were like, that bastard El Drake.
I like all the voices that are going on right now.
Thank you. I didn't do any voices in the last one except for Yoda, and this one kind of getting down on some voices.
Can you please do the Yoda voice for me? Oh no, it's really ugly.
Thank you.
Can you try Baby Yoda?
I haven't seen Mandalorian.
Me neither.
Yeah.
Same.
Apparently, it's not actually Yoda.
It's not, because it takes place like years after some of those events.
Okay.
So Sarah, why don't you take it away with the next set of information?
Well, let me go ahead and pull that next set of information up right quick here. All right. Well, another theory is that the Mojito was invented at a famous Havana watering hole, La Bodeguita del Medio. The owners there claim that their bartenders were the first to make a Mojito, right about when they opened the doors back in 1942. They actually used that as a really good promotional tool, trying to stake claim on this cocktail.
And from what it looks like, I don't know if somebody may have come up with it beforehand and they just kind of popularized it. They say that it was invented there by their bartenders.
Yeah.
And we tried to find something to dispute it. I think just because we don't like that version of history as much. Like, it's much more romantic to think of the idea of these African slaves putting together this concoction under the nose of some overlords or something like that. That's a way more romantic idea, or the idea of some pirate captain coming through and being like, oh man, here's this remedy to put together to save my sailors. But the idea of invented in some cocktail bar by some guys who opened a bar.
I mean, it's
Sounds
very
way
possible
less.
that it was passed down through tradition as well,
That's
and
true.
just into the bartending
Yeah.
industry.
I mean, all of these different ingredients were local, and they're things that like were used for medicinal purposes and stuff. So it's very hard to believe that they weren't combined. But the big thing is that the soda water would not have probably been introduced until the Havana clubs and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Sarah, you had looked up a lot of the history of the soda water. Can you dive into that a
Oh
little
my
bit?
God, soda water. So
Wait, are
many
you
dates.
implying that the African slaves didn't have soda water at their disposal?
I mean, not
No.
at least until 1877.
Interesting.
Yeah. Turns out not a whole lot of club soda in the sugar plantations of Cuba.
You know, it is hard to dispute, especially with, you know, considering all these other facts. But, you know, we also know that, you know, soda water, club soda, was not really being, you know, commercialized until around 1877. At earliest 1830s, but I don't know if it was actually sold for consumption for purposes. At most, it might have been a medicinal reason, but it was mostly, you know, commercialized back in 1877.
Yeah, and that was in Ireland, right?
Yes, it was.
So it might not have even traveled out of Europe until way later than that.
It's very
Yeah.
possible.
So it's pretty likely that the first time anybody actually added club soda to the mix was probably in Havana, Cuba, during that, you know, sort of heyday of Havana nightclubs and stuff. But it's hard to say. A notable thing about that specific bar that claims to have invented the mojito is that it's famous for a lot of people that have visited it because it is kind of a staple. It's a very, very popular bar. Let's see, Pablo Neruda supposedly had visited it before, along with Nat King Cole, and then, of course, Ernest Hemingway. So we need to tear through these drinks because we need to make a mojito here soon.
We do.
Before we get into talking about all these pop culture references of the mojito, which is what we're going to go through next.
Are we here saying that we're going to be #chugging it?
Yeah, I think Lydia needs to chug that drink,
I'm scared.
which I think is good because she's usually so much more talkative than this. But as soon as we hit record, she gets super calm and nervous.
Well, it's because I don't know what I'm supposed to say.
You say whatever you want,
And I
Dollface.
also don't want to ruin your podcast.
I can edit out
the
anything.
things that I usually talk about.
Yeah.
Look, we're not here to talk about your dick, boys, but we are here to talk about rum.
Have any of our listeners ever seen an uncircumcised penis?
Yeah. Well, you need to finish your drink. Look,
Oh,
Sarah
you want me
and
to do that right now?
Yeah, Sarah and I
Okay.
are done. We are waiting for the mojitos.
just-
Drink, drink,
I
drink,
just have
drink,
so
drink,
much
drink,
fear.
drink.
I don't. Can you guys pretend like you're drinking too?
It smells good in here.
It does.
It's just so strong.
You want water down through water?
Water it down with your water.
Damn.
Uh-oh, I spilled my water. Okay,
Sweat.
and then I gotta mix it all up. Do a little shake-a. Okay.
So, Sarah, had you ever had a mojito prior to this experience?
Yeah, I had one. I've had one for sure on a cruise ship. I actually had a couple on a cruise ship.
On a cruise ship.
On
Was
a
that
cruise
the,
ship.
So
was
you
it the
got
Austin
money.
Powers dance class cruise ship?
No, I was 13 on that cruise ship.
Oh, you've
This
been
was
on
a different-
multiple cruises,
I've been
man.
on multiple cruise
You're
ships.
such a worldly person.
It is,
I'm so
honestly,
impressed.
both were to Catalina Island. Do not be impressed. Anyways, no, I've had a couple. I actually had one at one point when I was getting on an airplane. Not the one to Florida recently, but a bit prior to that, where I was nervous as all get out. And I got myself a mojito before getting on the plane.
Yeah.
I think I've had one at, something adjacent to a macaroni grill, but I've never had, a dignified mojito, if that's what you're asking me.
Yeah.
Most likely sports bars. And
Tell me a little bit
airplanes.
more about this macaroni grill.
This macaroni grill.
They grill macaroni.
They do grill macaroni
Yeah, it's pretty.
and cheese.
What do you mean by
Look,
grilling
You
macaroni?
know, on a grill, they just plop
Look.
some macaroni down.
Is it frozen and then they kind of
Nope.
grill it?
Nope. They just freshly made macaroni. They scoop it out and they just plop it on the grill. It's really messy.
I get
Stick to
this
the stew.
feeling that you guys are lying to me.
I've never been to a macaroni grill.
You haven't?
No.
What is it like living like you?
I've never been to one.
It's pretty
either.
great so far.
Because if I could unlive some moments in macaroni grill.
So Lydia is finally done with her drink. So we are going to go ahead and do some mojitos, and we'll be right back.
Yeah.
So we are back. We have our mojitos in front of us.
Mojito.
So have you guys tasted them yet?
No.
Okay. So let's go Lydia first. Lydia, why don't you tell us how you feel about this drink? How does it look? How does it smell?
It looks what is that thing called? Oh, it's apple juice.
Like apple. Oh, yeah. So we actually used the dark rum for this. Most of the time, people typically use white rum, but we had dark rum that we really liked, so we used it instead. And it looks a little bit different than probably the mojito that you would get at a bar, but it still tastes delicious. So it's the important thing.
It looks like apple juice, which is it's a cute little color. It looks like a refreshing color. 'Tis the season, and I can't smell much. It's definitely got some fruity smells going on. There's a lot of ice, and when I try to smell the ice, it just smells like ice. I'm gonna go ahead and taste it.
Okay.
Keep me posted.
Oh, what's that word? When it's on your tongue and it's spiky? Carbonated. It's carbonated.
Yeah. So it's soda water. So that's where a lot of it comes from.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So this is actually a pretty diluted drink. It's a pretty refreshing one.
Yeah, so it's kind of, it's definitely not going to be as strong as the first one that we had.
Definitely not as strong. But yeah. I like the spikes.
Yeah. Would you order this in a bar?
Yeah, I probably would.
Yeah. It's pretty delicious. I like this drink a lot. It's probably one of the most popular drinks in the world. Like I think didn't we at one point, I don't remember if we ever actually wrote it down, but when we were researching it, Sarah, didn't we come across a thing where it said that like in the UK and some other country, it's like the most Googled drink recipe or something?
Yeah, I think you mentioned it. Wasn't it in the Ukraine? No, it wasn't Ukraine.
No, it was the
No, Poland. Somewhere. It's in Europe.
Yeah, it was like the United Kingdom and somewhere else. I can't remember. But both of them were kind of like odd. Like you wouldn't think that country would love mojitos so much, but they did.
Yeah.
It's a really popular drink here in the United States as well. They're on pretty much every bar menu everywhere.
You're on every bar menu everywhere. The Rusty.
The Rusty Nail is on a lot of bar menus, actually.
The Rusty Nails.
I'm just sad that the Sarah Nail isn't anywhere.
Yeah, right. We should invent a drink called the Sarah Nail. Just for the purpose of this podcast.
It's not a Sarah Nail, but there is a Sarah Neal.
Oh, shit.
I just made that up.
Oh.
Sarah Neal.
I hope that... Hold on a sec. Let's see if it's...
My cat wants out.
He's not showing up on the pod. I don't think the mic can hear him. So anyways...
take that, you little idiot.
Yeah, so anyways, that is the mojito. Sarah, you want to go ahead and give us your impressions?
Yeah.
Impressions? Oh, about the drink. I thought you were going to do, like, impressions of people.
We can do that after the podcast.
Okay.
So it's definitely a lot more, diluted, given that we have ice in this and, some carbonated soda water. Or as Lydia likes to call it, spiky.
It's just spiky on your tongue.
I appreciate you, Lydia. But yeah, again, the ones that we are drinking are a little bit different than what you usually get at a bar. A lot of people will use white rum when they're doing bartending, and if you get your mojitos at Chili's, you're probably going to get one that does not look like what we've got here.
Mm-hmm. It's probably going to be like Bacardi or Captain Morgan or...
Yeah.
But we kind of have... We
take a little bit of liberty.
Is going nuts at the door.
I'm sorry.
You want me to kick his ass?
No, no, he's just an angry boy.
He's just angry. He's in cat jail.
Mm-hmm. We have two cats and they don't get along yet, so we kind of have them separated.
Yeah.
And right now Louis is my cat, and he is allowed in the rest of the house. And Octo, Sarah's cat, has to stay in the room until we let him out. So
Octo also snuck out during some point in the recording last night.
Yeah, actually.
Not last night, last week.
We were really messed up after that last recording, and we spent at least like a good half hour trying to track that dang cat down because Christian left the door open, and so that was pretty interesting. I honestly didn't think that he had much fight in him, but he was like chasing down like strays and stuff, trying to fight with them. So that was pretty interesting.
Yeah, that was fun to run around without a coat or shoes on at like 12:45 in the morning.
It would have been worse if we weren't drunk though.
Would have been worse
because we would have been colder.
So figure this, guys. Octo, the cat in question, is probably like 90 years old. Not to exaggerate, but probably like 1,000 years old. And
shit.
That
is
cat...
my cat old Deuteronomy? Is he gonna pick the next fucking Jellicle choice? Is that what I interrupted last week?
Yeah, so they have the world's oldest cat here. And it's a frail boy. But you have to understand how much of an absolute asshole he is.
I think he knows that the end is near, so he just doesn't give a fuck anymore.
Honestly, he's just trying to milk it for what he's got left.
Pretty much.
He is everything that I aspire to be.
He really is. But But you know,
get back on track.
Even if he is old as hell, he's still not old enough to drink. So I'm gonna do that real quick.
Yeah.
In his honor.
Idiot.
Honestly, it tastes really similar to the El Drake that we had.
Yeah, the Drake.
It's more diluted for sure for reasons that are obvious. I'm not going to go over that again. This one's sweeter for sure as well. The El Drake was surprisingly sweet despite the lack of other ingredients that I usually see, ice. But they're very similar in taste. Yeah.
I will say that I probably wouldn't order an El Drake, just because I like drinks cold, and this is a really pleasant drink. It's gonna last you a while, yeah. But I mean, pretty much the ingredients are almost identical. The preparation is almost identical. You pretty much muddle everything, and then add the booze, and the only difference is add ice and then add soda water on top, or club soda rather.
Yeah.
But I'm going to go ahead and taste mine. I was lucky with this one because I got the fancy one that I used for the photo op, for the Instagram account and stuff. So I get this really nice looking one.
Little mint sprig.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really good. I definitely really like it with this specific rum that we got.
Yeah. I've had a couple of mojitos, and this is the first one I've ever used with a more not a white rum, basically.
Yeah, I think every mojito I've had prior to this has always been just white rum, Captain Morgan kind of thing, which is not the
bad.
worst thing in the world, but it's definitely more along the lines of a party rum, like the Bacardi. And
I don't think people realize how customizable mojitos are.
Yeah, the actual rum that you choose makes a huge difference.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of things you can do to them, that you can add different flavors. There's a black cherry mojito. That one of my relatives is super into that keeps asking me to make them for. So the mojitos are really varied drink, but most of the places that you go, you're going to get a very similar experience in bars where it's just lime juice, simple syrup, club soda, and usually white rum. But yeah, this is a delicious drink. There's definitely a reason that it was so popular, which kind of brings us to our next talking point, which is going to be, Lydia's yeah, let's get done with this.
No.
Through with this.
No, I'm loving hearing you guys talk.
Oh, really? Mm-hmm. Aw.
That's wholesome.
It's because I love you guys.
Aww.
Also, we have all the info. It's fun stuff. Did a lot of research.
I want to read one. I want to read a bullet point.
Well, actually, we have something fun planned for you. So
Oh, thank God.
Ouch.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. Wait, no, that sounded really mean. I really enjoy these too. I am not being forced to say this.
Oh my God.
Mother, if you can hear me, please send help.
All right, Sarah, put the gun down. No, I'm kidding.
I'm not ready yet.
Anyways, so
Smile.
we're gonna go kind of over pop culture and how the mojito has kind of had a place. There's that laugh, that signature Sarah laugh.
I'm sorry. I know we did mic check, and I wanted to make sure I did clip I've been bottling it in.
Well, if it makes you feel any better, we have yet to clip during this episode.
I spilled a drop on the table.
You better fucking lick that shit off
Okay.
my table.
Wait, no, look. It looks like a little sperm boy.
You better get that shit off my mahogany.
It's a little sperm boy.
This laminate mahogany table. Anyways, so let's talk about a guy who continually has popped up in our research for everything so far. Ernest Hemingway. I mean, it's
the man who made a deal with the devil to have books that people had read in class.
Yeah, so Ernest Hemingway was the man's man of the old days. He was a huge pop culture phenomenon with his books and stuff like that. So he's really huge. He traveled a lot. He was a soldier. A lot of people liked him. There's even quite a few quotes. I would even go so far as to say there are certain things I do like about Hemingway. I just think that he's very overrated and kind of a little bit douchey. But the Mojito is supposedly was his favorite drink. And he actually has a bar in Havana called La Florita. I'm not sure if I said that right. I think I did.
Floridita?
La Floridita?
I don't know, man.
Something like that. It looks like Florida, but with an ita at the end.
Florita. Floridita.
So he has a bar
Okay,
in
sorry.
Havana.
People on Twitter send us recordings of how that is actually supposed to be pronounced.
Yes, please. So he has famously visited La Bodeguita. Bodeguita.
So none of us are Spanish speakers.
Yeah, I mean, we like Sarah and I grew up in a Spanish Spanish is the secondary language of a lot of people in our area.
Southern Arizona.
Yeah, Southern Arizona. So there's a lot of Spanish speakers and a lot of Spanish that goes on adjacent to us, but we're just not Spanish speakers.
I've slept with a lot of guys that speak Spanish, so that makes me practically fluent. You can cut that out.
I'm not going to. I'm going to leave the pause and everything. It's going to be really awkward. It's going to be really uncomfortable. And I really hope your grandma listens. So anyways, Hemingway had... There's supposedly this napkin in La Bodeguita, which is framed that has Hemingway's, signature and everything on it. And the napkin says, "My mojito en la bodeguita, my daiquiri in El Floridita." God, I hope I didn't butcher that too bad.
You did.
Prayers.
And so basically what he's saying is, what I'm interpreting this from is he likes the mojitos even better in this bar that's not his, but he still prefers his daiquiris. So apparently he made awesome daiquiris, which is a whole other episode that Lydia's probably going to join us for too, because she's a pirate. And
Treat me like a pirate and give me that booty. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
You can't talk about rum without pirates.
Arr. I didn't realize that pirates were such a big part of the rum industry.
Oh yeah,
The rum
Huge.
So the entire pirate, the way that we have them in our heads with Jack Sparrow, all that kind of stuff, all happened during like a 2 to 300 year gap. And oh my God, sorry.
Can you please get it together?
Yeah. So a lot of that had to do partly with the whole, colonial warfare and stuff, with the Spanish and the British fighting over territories, along with the French. The French were there. They
showed up.
Yeah, they make some great rum, actually. We tried some out today.
Yeah.
But
the French?
Yeah, the French rum.
Yeah.
It's delicious.
What makes it French?
Basically the French colonies. If it was made in one of the French colonies, then it's got a different sort of style and stuff to it, and it's aged mostly in cognac barrels, which kind of gives it a different flavor and character. We could literally do a whole episode just on rum. What?
Can you hand me that towel? I was trying not to say it. I didn't want to interrupt you.
We could do an entire episode just on the history of rum, and we probably will. But we're going to focus more on the mojito in this episode.
Mojito.
And the next episode that we will be talking about rum will probably be the daiquiri and grog and all that kind of stuff. So we'll probably do something similar to what we did today. Try like an ancient cocktail. What?
The daiquiri?
Mm-hmm.
The daiquiri?
Yep.
I've heard the daiquiris are really good. I tasted one when I was really little, and it was strawberry, and that was the only time I've ever tasted
I've
one.
made you daiquiris before.
Wait, what?
I've made you mojitos before.
What?
Yeah, that's why I was like, have you ever had a mojito? And you were like, Yeah.
No, didn't you have my... Wait,
you
was
had
it...
a bandana. Bandana backery.
Yeah, I
bandana
made you a banana daiquiri.
Bandana backery?
Banana daiquiri.
So Sarah's made you a banana daiquiri, and I've made you regular daiquiris as well as mojitos before.
Oh, did it have strawberry in it?
Nope.
Oh.
We can make one with strawberries in it next time.
Yeah.
Thoroughly embarrassed. There's
That's
so
okay.
much egg on my face currently.
It's aight. You just don't know the names of the stuff.
Well, I just...
Usually you're like... I think usually what happens is I say, Lydia, what would you like to drink? And you say, something good.
And then we make you something good.
Yeah. And like, we just had a friend over last night that I was making cocktails for. And she just said, surprise me. And so I was making her a drink called the Blue Devil. She has no idea what that drink's called. It's just, she knows it's the blue one.
Ah.
So, yeah.
What makes it blue?
Blue curacao.
Yeah, curacao.
Yeah.
It's an orange liqueur.
Yeah.
For some reason,
So
it's
it tastes like orange, but it looks like blue.
Interesting. Why?
It's mostly to slap you in the face and make you feel stupid.
Yeah,
I'm
I think it's
joking.
just kind of a weird... I think they just did it because it was interesting. There's not a lot of blue liquors and stuff. But it looks really weird.
What's the difference between liquor and liqueur?
Sugar content.
Yeah, liqueur has had sugar added to it, but liquor is just like a byproduct of fermented alcohols, which are... Wow, this is getting really technical.
Thanks, guys. I
Yeah.
don't know any of this.
Liquor is just something that has been fermented and then distilled. So basically they heat it and they capture the vapors and they turn that vapor back into liquid and it becomes a like purified version of itself. So that's why a lot of alcohol didn't really happen. Like a lot of distilled alcohols, so like liquors, didn't really start popping up until I don't know exactly the date. I've been trying to kind of figure that out. And they don't have an exact date on it. Even with like the rum and stuff, I wasn't able to find anything exact.
Yeah.
But there's evidence of distillation of alcohol specifically as far back. I think the earliest I could find was like 1200. 1200
BC?
AD.
80.
Yeah. And it was like alchemists. I think it was like this specific alchemist who was Arabic that had discovered it. Are you looking this up, Sarah?
What?
Oh, I thought you were looking it up because you have your phone.
I'm looking at why is blue curacao blue? But
Oh.
I'm a little bit behind you in the conversation.
Yeah.
But I really do want that answer.
But I believe it was like the 1200s in which they actually started distilling alcohol, but it was more for the purpose of medicinal reasons. They would use it for like, you know, medicinal things. I don't know. I'm not really sure. But we got way off track.
That happens.
Way off track. Yeah, I'm rambling.
It's okay.
Maybe a little bit drunk. I need another mojito is what I need after this one. But anyways, yeah. So Hemingway really dug the mojitos. That was like his favorite drink, which a lot of people were kind of surprised by because he is such like a like macho-y type dude, I guess. Perhaps some scientists believe.
Do they have any proof?
That he was a macho guy?
Mm-hmm.
I don't.
How much could he even lift, bro?
Mostly it was his books, I think.
Could he even lift?
In all of his books, he writes himself as a very macho guy. Anyways, so Hemingway greatly influenced the mojito's popularity, and said it was his favorite drink. So that was the big thing that kind of brought the mojito to the United States, and people started drinking it pretty regularly. And by the 1990s, it had kind of become a staple in almost every bar across the country. But what really solidified its popularity was in 2002, whenever they did Die Another Day with Pierce Brosnan as James Bond. There was a scene in which
God, that scene.
James Bond drinks a mojito instead of his signature martini. And Sarah and I have watched that scene for the purpose of the research. I've never seen the full movie.
Research purposes.
I will tell you Halle Berry's in it. And we are actually going to have you watch that scene here live on the podcast because we want to see your reaction to it. Because Sarah and I had a very specific reaction that was we pretty much agreed 100% on how we felt about this particular scene. And I'm curious to see if you feel this way as well.
Alrighty. So do we want to pull it up on my phone, or do we want to put it up on the laptop?
We'll do it on the laptop since it's right here.
Cool. Are we gonna play like audio? Do we want to have it like on headphones? We're not gonna copyright.
Let's do headphones, so we don't have to worry about that.
So Lydia, we're gonna have you listen to this on headphones, and then you're gonna like just verbalize, you know, the vibes you get from this part of this classic movie from 2002.
This better not be as like odd and sexual as Cats was last night.
I mean, it won't be as hot and sexual as Cats from last night.
Honestly, Cats is hot and heavy. If you haven't seen it yet, go and see it. It is hot and heavy.
So I will say we have some sort of issues with our headphones. It's like the adapter doesn't work properly or something. So I might have to adjust it. Can you hear everything right now through the headphones?
I can hear you.
Can you hear it through the headphones?
What do you say? What do you mean?
Like, is it coming through the headphones, or you just hear me?
I don't know. I don't hear anything.
Okay.
Okay, we're going to start it, and if you can't hear it, let me know.
I can hear it.
Okay. Beautiful.
Who is that?
Pierce
That's
Brosnan.
Pierce
That's
Brosnan.
James Bond.
Yep.
Oh, okay. I thought it was Jim Carrey. He kind of gives Jim Carrey vibes. Oh, is that Halle Berry?
Mm-hmm.
She's so fucking hot. Dude, I'm telling you, if I weren't straight... Oh, he's creepy. What the hell? Ooh, twist it. Yes, bop it. Ooh, yes. Oh my god, look at her hips. God, I fucking wish I was Halle Berry.
So for anyone who might be a little bit confused, we've got a clip of the Die Another Day from 2002 where James Bond is meeting a character named Jinx, I think. It's like a 2.5 minute video.
Why does she have the knife just on her swimsuit? This is terrible.
This is a classic, Lydia.
Do you think they're actually drinking a mojito, or do you think they're like just drinking a cup of water?
I hope they're drinking a mojito. I hope they didn't film this thinking it was good.
I hope they didn't film this thinking it was sober.
Yeah.
James Bond looks like a porn daddy. Like, he looks like the guy in the videos that say, girl bang stepdad. He looks like that type of guy, man.
Mr. Brosnan, if you're listening to this, we mean that as a compliment.
I mean, I wouldn't sleep with him.
Did he just check her out? Was that him looking at her boobs?
What do you mean by predators?
Lord almighty.
Oh my god, there's so much sexual tension in this scene. And Halle Berry's kind of like, I'm not really into it, but like I'm a little into it.
So that was it. That was the scene. So thoughts, feelings?
I think that...
So I've only ever seen Skyfall. That's the only James Bond film I'd ever seen.
I've not seen any.
So other than that movie, this is the only James Bond that I've really ever seen before. And I'm sufficiently creeped out.
Yeah, he's a creep.
He's pretty creepy. Like, he's like looking at her with the binoculars and all that kind of stuff.
He's like, damn, mommy, get out of the ocean so I can come up to you and tell you about how much of a fucking predator I am.
Right, the whole thing.
She's like, oh yeah, daddy, you're a predator? What do predators do? And he's like, I'm gonna fucking come to your house and kill you. And she was like, fuck yeah, daddy. That was the scene.
Yep, that was pretty much verbatim. That's exactly what the lines were.
She like bit her lip a little bit.
Ooh.
I can definitely say Halle Berry is a fantastic actress, but even she didn't seem like she was legitimately interested in that exchange.
Halle Berry, she was the Catwoman, right?
Yep.
Oh man, she's so hot. Like, if I could be a woman, it might be Halle Berry. I'm not like saying for sure because there's a lot of women in the world, and there might be someone else who I'd be more willing to be.
You don't want to be Melania?
Who?
Trump?
That bitch looks like a fucking raccoon.
Oh, damn.
Oh, sorry. Unless you were listening, all hail the Trumps. I just don't want to get killed.
Anyways.
That will probably get cut out.
So, yeah, so that was that scene. But that scene him drinking a mojito in that scene like made the mojito really, really popular over the following several years. And you started seeing a lot more pop culture references pop up after that. Specifically, Family Guy in 2005 referenced the mojito in the Bachelorette themed episode, where Brian is taking part in the Bachelorette, and they have all these like little interview sections like they do on the Bachelorette, and Brian's got a lot of great moments in there where he's talking about like jazz music and stuff, and he's really awkward during the interviews. And there's a scene where he's talking about like getting drinks and stuff, and he says, "The bartender really knew his stuff. Made me a mojito. I don't think it's a gay drink." Yeah, and that was one of my favorite. And that might have actually, because I was pretty young. I was 15 when that episode aired, so that might have been the first time I ever heard of a mojito. It's pretty fresh in my mind, for sure. I love that episode.
He says he straws it out. I remember this. He's like sitting in that little interview, and he is holding his drink as such, and he says mojito.
Oh, yeah. Mojito.
And I've been saying that this whole episode, not remembering where it was from, but as soon as you said that, I remembered that was from Family Guy.
Did it just like flood back into you?
Oh yeah, it was like the dam opened, and it was all the Family Guy memories that I've suppressed.
Yeah.
I suppress a lot of those.
It's good shit though.
Mojito.
I love that episode. It's a good one. Just Brian in general is just a great character. And then in 2004, the town of Richland, New Jersey, actually changed its name to Mojito for a few weeks as like a publicity stunt for Bacardi, which is pretty crazy. Like the entire town changed its name just to kind of promote the drink.
Do you think the residents were chill with that, or they just kind of went along with it?
Well, the town was like home to a huge mint farm, and so I think the mint was like a huge part of their like local economy. So they probably were pretty on board for it. They probably thought it was really cool, I'm guessing.
I'm just curious about how mail worked. Like, what if you sent like a letter to somewhere in Richmond, and at that time it was Mojito. Richland,
yeah,
whatever.
Richland.
But, regardless, what if you sent a letter to Richland and, it was called Mojito at the time, and so that letter never gets delivered?
Right?
Mojito.
How does that work out? What about the bills? What about, your Comcast bill where you're, trying to pay for your internet or whatever the fuck?
Maybe nobody had to pay bills for that whole time period.
In that case, if anyone wants to turn, our town into, I don't know, Bacardi town, sign me up.
Bacardi?
Can we turn it into some sort of gin?
Ooh.
Can we turn it into Negroni, Arizona? Mm-hmm.
Ooh. We could just call it Tanqueray.
Tanqueray. I don't really like Tanqueray. Oh, we shouldn't talk about specific brands. Find your own brands. So the other thing that I wanted to talk about on this podcast is your artwork, because you're a fantastic artist.
Oh, jeez.
And now she's all nervous. And we asked you, we commissioned you actually to do a logo for us, which I'm not even sure if you've had a chance to actually work on it, but
that's okay.
But yeah, we've got a couple of different pictures here from your Instagram.
Oh jeez.
That I hadn't actually looked up yet, so let me look up your Instagram.
Amazing.
What's your Instagram handle?
Lydia J. Jane on Instagram. I am a freelance artist who doesn't do much freelancing, but I create digital portraits.
There's a Lydia Jane.
It's Lydia J. Jane.
Yeah, there's a Lydia Jane that pops up before you.
Mm-hmm.
There's also a Lydia Jane that's like a porn star or something. I don't know.
We kill her.
Sounds like a pretty porn star name.
You're not?
I've thought about going into porn, not gonna lie. I don't think that I would be good at it. I just think I would want the money. You can cut that.
Your
if
poor
you
grandma. Your poor grandma.
I've looked into that, and the other day I also signed up for a sugar baby website.
I don't know what that is.
It's where you try to find sugar daddies.
Interesting. I'm gonna go ahead and pull up your Instagram on my phone real quick.
I got scared though with the sugar daddy one, so I deleted the account. But if anyone wants to be my sugar daddy, let me know.
Okay, so we're gonna talk about your artwork now.
Help me.
So, oof. Actually, that's a really good one to start with. I love this right here. This is beautiful.
Okay.
So, do you have a name for this particular one, or
which one were you just on?
this one right here?
Oh, so this is actually just an Inktober piece. So Inktober is something that happens every October in the art community where we kind of drop what our usual tools are and we pick up ink. And and there's like usually a prompt list that people follow. I was following a strange prompt list. It was about like witches and stuff because I enjoy witches, I guess. So this is my first day of Inktober. It just depicts a girl with a, how do you say that, planchette?
It's planchette, yeah.
Planchette. So she's just like got a planchette kind of floating, and her eyes are black and there's stars.
Lit.
All around.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, so that's what's going on there. It was just an Inktober piece. I generally don't work with ink. I usually work with Photoshop as my main thing, and I definitely pay for it. I know there's a lot of artists that don't. I do. Just so you all know.
Yeah, you guys should definitely check out her Instagram. There's a lot of great stuff on here. Let's talk about this one right here is really good.
Oh, this is another ink piece. I see you have like a theme of what you like that I make. This is another ink piece.
It's mostly the butt. I'm just kidding.
It is a picture
There's
of
a butt.
Medusa. So she's like sitting on like a wooden. It kind of looks like part of like a wooden carriage. And she's just kind of sitting there, and her hair is just lots and lots of snakes. And it's like from the back that I drew it. So you see her back and the very top of her like butt crack and stuff, and it's kind of sexy.
She's nude. Is the thing.
She's naked. So one of my
She's
things,
naked.
one of my things is I like drawing naked women. I think that the female body is absolutely beautiful. Not that the male body isn't. I just love drawing naked women. I guess they're beautiful. Thank you.
Oh, I love this one.
Oh, here's one that is not an ink picture. This is it's actually a really personal piece.
That's what I like about it. Actually, it
This
seems very
is-
intimate.
It was very personal. This past year has been a really strange year for me. I live alone right now, and this is the first time I've ever been on my own. And something that I did was times whenever I just got really depressed, I would take a long bubble bath. And so I kind of just drew a picture of a girl sitting in a bathtub. She looks vaguely like me. But it's just sitting in a bubble bath. And there's just like a specific mood that I wanted to like implement in this piece. It's just called Bath Time Blues. You can find it on my Instagram. I posted it back on June 19th. But yeah, it's a pretty personal piece that I posted. So that the world could see how personal I am.
This is actually a friend of yours, isn't it? This one right here.
Oh yeah. That is a portrait I did of my friend Allie.
Shout out to Allie.
Shout out Allie.
Shout out Allie.
Shout out Allie. She's one of my best friends. I met her whenever I was like 5 years old, and we've been best friends ever since. She's still in Missouri. But yeah, I did some portraits of her, and because she's got like this beautiful red hair, like natural red hair, but she's also got like these bright blue eyes. She's actually really gorgeous. I don't know how.
Contrary to popular belief.
Contrary to popular belief, she is a very attractive woman.
No, she's cute. I've seen pictures of her before.
All of my friends are cute.
Aw.
Aww. This one's really great.
This is my dog.
Yeah, this one's cute.
I love her. Okay, I love my dog.
You looking for the actual picture?
Yeah, I was trying to swipe. Oh my gosh, she's so cute.
Yeah.
Your dog looks like Falcor.
Yeah, well, not like Falcor. Like, it reminds me of some sort of like Japanese mythical like fox creature. You don't have any idea what breed she is, do you?
So whenever I first bought my dog, just so that the listeners can understand, my dog looks like, imagine you have a golden retriever, but then you made it like maybe the size of a corgi, and then you had its ears just stand straight up. Kind of like, you ever heard of like a Papillon or like a Chihuahua or maybe like a whatever. It's just like straight up ears. And that's my dog. Her tongue is spotted with like dark spots. So when I adopted her, the foster woman told me that she was a Chow mix because of her tongue. Outside of her tongue having splotches on it, she gives off no Chow vibes at all.
I feel like most dogs have like splotchy tongues though.
It's actually not as uncommon as people think. So most people will see a black tongue on a dog, and they'll think that it is because that dog is part Chow or a Chow. But actually, if you go on to if you just do a simple Google search, you'll find that a lot of dogs can have a splotchy tongue. It's kind of just with pigmentation, just like how people's skin, our pigmentation can vary.
Yeah.
And even like on a single person, there can be splotches of different things. Same thing with a tongue. So that's kind of what happens with their tongues.
Interesting.
So I think that my dog is just a little mutt.
Yeah, she's cute though.
She's real cute.
She got really furry feet.
She does.
So one of the interesting things that I think is really cool about your artwork is that most, I like a few of them, but most of your characters are sort of hard to place racially. So it's like they've got very mixed features. So you might have a character that looks like they're a little bit black, they're a little bit white, they might even be like, Indian or something like that. So why don't you talk a little bit about that, because I think that's one of the most interesting and unique things about your models and your subjects. You don't use models, you just kind of draw, right?
I don't use models. Sometimes I'll find a model and I will draw that person because I think that they look very unique. I've always had a love for unique features in people. And I think that kind of stems from me having a unique face. Because growing up, for a long time, I kind of thought that I was ugly because I have, I don't look white, but I don't look black. So my mom's black, or my mom's white, my dad's black. I don't look white, but I don't look black. And I have, freckles all over my face, and I've got, these almond eyes that, I don't know, and, my hair is, really dark and curly. So it's, I have, these strange features. And for a long time, I didn't love them because people made me feel like I shouldn't. But now that I like the way that I look, whenever I see someone else's face that just, is unique and interesting, and just, I love asymmetrical faces. I love, I just love looking at people. I love differences. I'm never attracted to, the standard attractive person. I'm always like, man, this funny looking dude is so cute. And they can both attest to that. I love funny looking men.
Yeah.
Especially if you've got a goofy smile or an asymmetric, I don't know. There's just something about it. So when it comes to me drawing, whenever I draw things and people, I generally draw girls. I don't know why I do it. I think I just like making girls look pretty. And yeah, a lot of them are very racially ambiguous because I'm racially ambiguous, and a lot of what you create is a direct reflection of you.
Yeah, and that's super cool, especially because, eventually this whole idea of these different races that we've established will kind of get bred out, and people will be kind of all one, melting pot of racial differences or whatever, right?
Yeah, I can't wait until that happens.
Yeah, it'll be kind of interesting. It'll be really hard to tell whether or not somebody, was ever from any specific region. I think that's kind of cool. And I just think that that's really unique. You don't see a lot of art like yours that has those aspects to it. And so I've always really admired her. I love Lydia's art. I brag about her all the time to my friends and coworkers and stuff. Every time that I see Lydia posting stuff, I get super proud and weirdly paternal about it.
Put it on like our refrigerator.
Yeah, pretty much. Like if she gave me prints or something, I would put them on the refrigerator or like in the bathroom wall or bedroom or whatever.
Thanks, guys.
But so I digress. Definitely go check out her stuff. If people want to commission you for artwork, where should they go? How should they contact you?
Just DM me on my Instagram. Or on my Instagram, I believe I have my email attached to it. So you can also hit email if you don't want to DM me.
Okay, what is that email?
It's Lydia. Hold on.
Lydia, hold on, Gotcha. At Yahoo? Okay.
It's lydia.jane897@gmail.com.
Okay, lydia.jane897@gmail.com.
Yeah. So that's my email. You can just send me a straight email. Send me a straight email, and I usually read them. I read most of my emails.
Awesome.
Unless it says like, you owe a lot of money and you're gonna get bankrupt if you don't.
Do you owe a lot of money?
No.
Oh.
What makes you think that?
No reason.
Okay, cool.
So thank you for joining us tonight. I know that this was kind of something different for you. You weren't really sure how to react to it, but I
had no idea what was going to happen.
Yeah, especially you hadn't had a chance to listen to the first episode yet, right?
Because I would...
Hell, you didn't even sign the waiver.
We do have a waiver. Well, you'll send that in a sec.
Yeah, well, I was going to listen to it yesterday, but I was not sober the entire day, so I decided that I would listen to your guys' beautiful podcast sober. So this is, I guess, the first podcast I will listen to since I was a part of it.
Yeah.
And then I'll listen to the first one.
Mm-hmm.
I like it.
Thank you.
Hey, well, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for joining me on my cocktail podcast.
And we hope that you'll join us for future episodes as well. We like you.
Yeah.
I like you guys.
Aww.
Should we kiss?
I mean, that's after we turn off the recording.
Oh, okay.
Anyways, this is going to air on New Year's Day.
New Year's Day?
Yeah. So is there anything that you want to say about the New Year's or anything like that?
You want to bring that shit in?
2020 is going to be a good year.
What is going to be, do you have a resolution or?
So I don't have a resolution because I know that I am terrible at forcing myself to do things. And it's just something that's come with living in my own skin for 23 years. But I know that this year is going to be better because there's no way that I could possibly have a year worse than 2019.
Aww.
I'm honestly I started at rock bottom, and now I've finally made it to where I'm in a better place mentally and emotionally. So 2020, whatever it throws at me, I'm sure it won't be as bad as what 2019 threw at me.
Yeah. Well, it's going to be pretty nice because the very first start to 2019 will be you being on your first podcast.
True.
That's true.
Yeah, so that's a really cool start. I think that's pretty cool.
Be a lot cooler if there was money involved, but
yeah. Well,
well, right now it's free drinks.
Sorry, dog.
It's all good, guys.
I mean, we are going to pay you for your commission.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I mean, it's not like we were just hey, make us
anyone listening, my Venmo account is
cool. We'll go ahead and stop there.
If you love this podcast and want to support us, feel free to come on over to our Patreon. Thank you so much. We look forward to hearing from you.
Okay.
I'm drunk.
I think what Sarah's trying to say is, thanks for listening to Cocktail Lore.
Shut up.
Thanks for listening to Cocktail Lore. Please join us for our next episode where we discuss the Cosmopolitan cocktail, which may actually be older than you expect. If you want to join the Cocktail Lore community, please visit us on Instagram and Twitter. You can find us by searching for Cocktail Lore. You can also contact us at cocktaillore@gmail.com. If you love this podcast and you want to support us, please feel free to visit us on Patreon. Thank you so much, and we look forward to hearing from you.
Drink lots of water.